Now this is what plantain looks like. So 2 weeks ago, I cut a bunch of this, and what I do is I cut the outside ones and let the middle grow up, kind of like spinach. And then I slice them up into strips, and I never dry the stem. That's just my preference. Sorry, I'm walking my dog at the same time and he's pulling my hand, so that's why I'm shaky. But that's what I do. I slice it up into pieces, put it in the dehydrator for 24 hours. So this is what the plantain looks like. I had this in my cupboard 2 weeks ago. I picked some more, and all I do is slice the leaves up in smaller pieces and take off all the large stems, and I dry them for about 24 hours until they get really crisp and crackly, so that I can crunch them up, or I put them in a little food processor, or you can do it in one of those magic bullets, blenders, anything that will grind it up really nicely before you add it to your oil. So just cut it up in nice strips. This is the finished product of that, and usually what I do is I tie it in a bag until needed, or I put it in my glass jars. So now I have put all the plantain in my little magic bullet. I'm just going to screw on the cover, and I'm going to blend this up to a really nice fine consistency. Tell that you'd have to have an awful lot of plantain to, once you blend it, you would need a lot to make a big amount. But I'm not needing much, because all I'm going to do today is make 1 jar of salve. So now what we're going to do is we are going to place this in here, in this jar, and I'm going to infuse some olive oil. And I'm going to infuse a ½ cup of olive oil. And how I'm going to do that, so I'm just going to place a fourth of a cup. A fourth of a cup of oil. And all I want to do is make sure that my oil is covered. And I'm just going to get a little something to stir this up, just to make sure this is all covered. So to infuse this, there are several different ways to do it. You can dry your plantain and steep it in olive oil, set it on a windowsill for several days. You can put it in a stainless steel pot and simmer it and set it aside for a few hours. Or you can place this in your oven for 3 to 4 hours on 170 degrees. And that is what I'm going to do, because of course these ball jars are safe to put in the oven. And I'm only doing 1 jar. I'm not doing a large batch. So this is going to go in the oven at 170 for 3 or 4 hours. All I've done is place my glass jar of olive oil and plantain in the oven, and I just placed it on a pizza stone, just because the jar isn't wide enough to sit on the rack. Or you could put a cookie sheet down, set it in a pie plate, anything like that. I just had the pizza oven sitting in there. That's where I store them when I'm not using them. So That's going to be in there for, remember, 3 to 4 hours. So now our plantain is infused really nicely into our olive oil, and it is a nice, beautiful dark green color. So I know that it's potent and it's going to make a great sauce. So all I'm going to do is take a coffee filter and I kind of stick it down into my jar. I fold it over. Screw on the top. Of course, leave this piece out. So now I kind of have a strainer. You can do it with a funnel and a piece of cheesecloth, or you can do it many different ways. This is the way that I like to do it, and it is cheap and easy. So now I'm just going to dump all of that in there, and I'm going to grab a spoon. And it looks really, really fantastic. It is such a rich green color. Now, if you have older plantain in your cupboard that's been dehydrated a while, you're not going to get that really good green color. And that's the important. The newer the plantain, the better it's going to be. So it will take a few minutes and it will drain through, and once a lot of it's dripped through, what I do is I take this off and I squeeze the rest of it out. And you can also kind of hurry the process up by pressing it through. So I've finished getting all of our olive oil out, and what I've done is ended up squeezing all the rest of the oil out of the coffee filter, and all we have is the organic matter left in the coffee filter from the plantain. So this is our really rich, beautiful, green infused olive oil. Now the next step I'm going to do is add 1/4 of a cup of coconut oil, and I'm going to add it directly into the jar. And I'm totally cheating this time because I'm only doing one small jar. And then what I'm going to do is add in the beeswax. And that's going to stiffen up the salve. It's going to make it so it has a much more solid consistency. So I like the little pearls of beeswax because it's so much easier to measure. Instead of grating it, I just love to scoop it out of the bag. So I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of the beeswax pearls. So now all you have to do is put this in a saucepan with some water and heat it up and let all of this melt together, and then let it cool and you'll have a perfect salve. So here I have a saucepan of water, and all I'm going to do is let this heat up nice and slowly, and I'm going to place in our jar. And we're just going to let all of this melt. I'm going to slowly stir this and let it all combine and melt down really nicely. So our salve is really blending together nicely. All the coconut oil has melted now. Now I'm just waiting for the beeswax pearls to melt. And those always take a little bit longer, of course, because they're so much harder than everything else. And I found the perfect jar in my cupboard, and I didn't think that I had any very small jars, but I'm super excited that I found this little tiny jar. I usually never can with anything this small. If I made jelly or something in this, my kiddo would have this gone in a heartbeat. So I never can, but for some reason someone must have gave me one of these. So I am going to use it for my salve, and it's the perfect size. So I am just going to take this out. And I don't even have to really blend it because it all melted, but I'm definitely going to mix it because I always make sure everything is blended really nice. But I don't have to spend too much time. Beautiful. Now I'm going to pour it in my, on my spoon. Got a little beeswax pearl there. It fell in. Okay. So I'm going to transfer it over to this jar. And it is super hot right now. Sorry, I'm kind of blocking it with a pot holder, but I definitely don't want to get burned. And it fits like entirely perfect. So that is my quick and easy DIY plantain salve. And again, I'm going to just go over the recipe really quick. So we infused 1/4 of a cup of coconut oil with about 3 cups of plantain leaves before they were ground up. So you have to remember that's before, and of course it was a lot less when we ground them up. And then I added 2 tablespoons of beeswax pearls, 1/4 of a cup of coconut. Now you can go ahead and add some essential oils if you want to add scent. Right now I'm going to leave it just plain. Plantain doesn't have, you know, any overwhelming robust smell. It's very earthy, so I'm just going to leave it as is. Here is our finished product. It's a great consistency. It goes on really nice. It doesn't leave any super greasy residue. You can use this for so many different things. Cuts and burns. The list is endless. Every time my kid falls and scratches her knees, I rub a little bit on there. It is my go-to DIY like antiseptic. Please subscribe to Bunker Hill Homestead and like this video. And I will be posting new videos every single week. Stay tuned. Thank you.